Ladies and gentlemen, this is a historic video. And the reason for that is that this is the last time you will see this background for almost 1 month, as I am traveling to Europe tonight. But on a more serious note, Magnus Carlsen has just pulled off the unthinkable and won a chess tournament by playing 9 rounds and winning every single game. I'll put a link in the description to the first 2 recaps of this tournament that I made, and then I will put this video, which you're watching right now. Played 9 opponents, won every single game, never been done before. Performance rating, according to advanced calculations, of 3,400, and there have been statisticians who are saying that this is the single greatest tournament performance of all time. Pretty good. This is why I keep making videos about Magnus Carlsen, because when he's done, it's going to be a sad time, and we're not going to get this quality of chess. And like I said, I will be going to Europe, first for a little vacation, and then for a little bit of a tour. Tickets still available, link in the description, and a special bonus event in Prague with just like 50 tickets left. So if you're going to be in Prague on May 13th, or you want to be in Prague in the Czech Republic on May 13th, you should stop by. Folks, to get to even where we are now, Magnus Carlsen has won his first 7 games. A friendly reminder, pay attention. Do not watch the video without audio. They're playing freestyle chess. This will be the last freestyle chess video I make for at least 3 months, basically. And we will go back to regular chess, but anytime Magnus plays, we pay attention. So the board is shuffled, and they get new positions every single game. Magnus is on 7 out of 7. Let's look at his game against Mamemedov, Azerbaijani Grandmaster, who opens the game with the move e4, and Magnus goes for a Sicilian defense. To castle short, you would need to move your knight, and then bring your king and rook to those 2 squares. To castle long, you would need to clear up these 2, and obviously move the queen as well. So, Mamemedov plays knight to f3, and Magnus plays d5, okay? Looking to immediately activate either his rook, or what is more likely is his knight. It's very common in these types of positions to bring the knight to the middle, even with a delayed move, because it's impossible for the opponent to actually play any sort of defense against the central pawn. So that's what happens here. Again, thus far in the tournament, Magnus has won every game, and one unique thing about this tournament is they are playing 2 games a day of classical chess without knowing any openings. It's not that easy. It's really not that easy. Like, you think, oh, 2 chess games a day. What, I play 20 a day? Yeah, but classical time control, no openings, high level stuff, all sorts of calculations. But it doesn't stop Magnus from playing good chess every single game. So knight to b6 is played, and white has a few options here. He plays the best move, which is this move d4, okay? And the point is that you want Magnus to take this pawn so that then you do the exact same thing. You have a pretty symmetrical position, pretty boring game. Magnus plays the top computer move. So the top computer move here is to give this check. Why? It forces white now to play queen e2. You say, why does it force white to play queen e2? White can just play king g1 or rook d3. If you pin yourself, you simply lose the rook. That doesn't make any sense. And if you play king g1, you can no longer castle. Since you cannot castle, your rook is stuck here for the rest of the game. So that obviously cannot be a good move. So queen e2, takes. And I have seen Magnus win some positions over the course of his career. I'm always fascinated. Like, all Magnus has here, all he has, is a very slight imbalance of center pawns. He has E, his opponent has D. He has a little bit more space on the queen side. So black plays c3. White plays c3, activating his bishops. Magnus plays knight f6. The pawn's not going anywhere. He's still deciding which way he wants to take it. Will he take it with the b knight? Probably. Probably right, because that will help him expand, obviously. Knight ft5 looks good. He probably won't play it, though. Knight c2. Now, again, I just told you, to me, it looks much more natural to take like this, right? Play b5, a5. Well, Magnus goes bishop f5, happily trades off his light-squared bishop, and plays here. Now, what I completely do not understand is everything he has played in this game is the best move. How does that make any sense? Let me explain it to you. Let me demystify how Magnus Carlsen plays chess. So, why is it better not to take with this knight, which would lead to a potential pawn avalanche? It's good, but it's not the best. This knight can be, useful for these purposes. It is better to take with the F knight. because of 3 reasons. Reason number 1, this knight could be more useful for a queenside attack on the a4 square, where it would target b2 and prevent white from playing b3 by putting pressure like this. Okay? Reason number 2, f6. By moving this knight to the d5 square, you enable the move f6, which restricts the enemy knight. You might also play e6, so you control the entire center and don't allow this knight forward. I said there were 3 reasons. I don't know why I said that. There were 2 reasons. Those are the 2 major reasons. If you keep this knight on f6, it's not going to have an easy path forward anywhere, frankly. So that is why, he plays what he plays, okay? And that's why it was better to take with the f knight than the b knight. g3, chosen by white, taking away something on the f4 square, okay? So far, so good. g3 is fine. f6, there it is. White plays knight d2. Mamemedov is potentially considering f4, gaining space. Obviously, the knight is looking to reposition as well. Magnus plays rook c8. Okay? So, now, this is defended. We're looking to castle the king, right? This way. Or we're looking to move the king up, because it's an endgame. You might not even need to do that. Rook here and e5. Mamemedov, knight to e4. Centralizing the knight. Looking to put the knight on c5. Just watch how Magnus puts all the pieces on all the right squares. Like usual. Typical stuff for one of these recaps. Bishop d6. Okay? He's ready to give up the bishop. Like, what? Why would you voluntarily give up a bishop for a knight? We say all the time, right? Like, well, this is one of those rare cases. It's actually better to give this up. The pawn controls the white pawn structure. The knight can go to a4. The knight pressures this. These 2 knights disallow all of these pawns from moving, and then rook up and rook over is going to be a major problem for white, and this king is going to be stuck in the center of the board. So Mamemedov doesn't take on d6. He plays king d2. He wants to walk his king out of the center and put it on the c2 square. Magnus plays f5. After moving the pawn to the f6 square, to negate the white knight from jumping into e5, he played f6, white repositioned his knight, and now because the white knight has no prospect of ever going to the e5 square, Magnus is able to play f5 and ask the knight what it wants to do. If it wants to go to g5 to go to the e6 square, he will invite it in, and now the knight has to leave. Because if it doesn't leave, then after something like, I don't know, even g5, it's stuck here forever. And we can just go after it, and the knight is never going to get out. So because of that, Mamemedov takes on d6. Magnus has now created a symmetrical pawn structure on purpose while maintaining a light squared bind. White has a dark squared bishop. White has 6 out of 7 pawns on dark squares. That means white's position is uncoordinated. The square on e4, weak. The square on d3, potentially weak. f3, b3, a4, etc. Rook e1, king up to f7. Maybe you go rook e8. Maybe you go g5, g4, restricting the f3 pawn move, and then you reposition this knight to the e4 square. You still always have ideas of attacking on the queen side. King to c2, knight to d7 back. Looking to make that reposition and maybe gain some space with the pawns. Knight d2 played by Mamemedov. b5, we've already talked about this move. This enables the rook to move as well, because the rook used to be protecting this pawn. Mamemedov plays g4. Good move. Looking for counterplay, wants to play knight e4. Right? Get some activity, rook g1, etc. Maybe even f3 and go after the king. Like, honestly, maybe it's possible. Maybe not like that. Knight g5 is also possible. Whatever. g4. Good move. Magnus has to go here. Magnus spent 11 minutes on that move. So white sacrifices a pawn in an endgame looking for activity. Black counter-sacrifices the pawn on f5 because the pawn on f5 is unable to be protected by white, right? So Mamemedov takes it. Magnus drops the knight back to e7. This is such a high-level battle. Both guys are giving each other free pawns in an otherwise equal endgame-ish position. Like, and if you think this game is very high level, oh, I cannot wait to show you the game where he won and went 9-0. I just cannot wait. Knight takes f5, a check given by Mamemedov, and the knight is like, I mean, that knight is dancing all over the board. And now we get into knight versus bishop. So Mamemedov has not moved his bishop the entire game. It literally hasn't moved from the beginning. It's an endgame of light versus dark. Bishops are better than knights generally, but not when the bishop has no target and when the color complex opposite the bishop is where this game is getting played. And it is where this game is getting played. Magnus is about to basically have every single piece on a light square. The dark squared bishop is just looking around. It's like, you know, The Weeknd in the Blinding Lights music video. He's looking around frantically, looking where to find something. Rook E1, and now Rook E8. Rook E8 is a ridiculous move. So many of us would be afraid of trading off all the rooks and just going like, am I really going to play knight versus bishop? Really? Do I even have enough to win this position? The king is closer to the middle. Yeah, he's not afraid of all that. King F6, King F3, but in the long run, it's only black who's ever gonna do anything. He's gonna play King F5, Knight D5, A5, like he's gonna have all the shots. Maybe this position is holdable, but it's crazy to me that after playing Rook E8, Magnus is so confident he's gonna win just Knight versus Bishop pure, outright. That's nuts. Like, I find that so, and his opponent believes him. His opponent's like, nope. Magnus is like, no, seriously, let's trade. Nope. Magnus is insisting, baiting his opponent like a bullfighter, you know, like waving the flag in front of the bull. Like, come on, Rook E5. Now he trades one pair of rooks, and now he comes back and watch this. Rook and knight. Every pawn in white's position almost is on a dark square. Watch him infiltrate, just absolutely cutting up the position. Everything important in black's position on a light square. Bishop D8, King G6, and he walks the king up the board, restricting white completely, repositions the pieces perfectly, breaks in, targets this, breaks apart the white pawn structure, and Rook B3, 3 pawns in the white position are targeted. White never gets anything going, and Magnus Carlsen advances into the position. He has too many things to attack. And after 60 moves, Mamemedov resigned. I mean, this is just mind-blowing. Like, how he makes it look. How he is able to outplay a seasoned grandmaster from this position. You look at this position with no eval bar, you go 6 pawns each, bishop, knight, trade the rooks, draw. But he's able to get it done. And he's able to get it done like this. He was happy with this game because he felt like it was a very high-quality game that he had played, very high-accuracy game. But the next one... Oh, and by the way, fun fact, Magnus Carlsen won the tournament without having to play the final round. He had 8 out of 8, and the closest person was on 6.5. Magnus Carlsen could have forfeited the last round, walked around Karlsruhe, and just bought food. Could have bought a bratwurst. He could have just had, you know, some sausage, ate it, took a walk, had an apple pie, whatever. Some ice cream, some beer, and just enjoyed himself. Instead, he shows up, shockingly. And his opponent, by the way, is the local hero, the man who has defeated him in Freestyle Chess Classical before. And Magnus Carlsen on his Instagram, I think it's still there, in his bio says, beating somebody once is not revenge. So you know what happens in this game already, but let's just watch it anyway. Magnus plays d4. Somehow he knew it was the best move, probably from similar types of structures. And in this game, actually early on, he went into Vincent's position. He played the most critical move. But, like, by the way, I want to point something out real quick. How on earth do you understand chess to the point that here, would you like to know the top 2 computer moves here for white? Of course you would. You're watching the video. Knight c5 attacking the pawn on b7. If black goes here, what you do is you just simply take the bishop. That makes sense. Okay, that makes sense. Knight c5, knight d6. The top computer move in this position for white doesn't even begin to make sense. It's h4. I would never come up with this move on my own, ever. Not in a million years. Not in a million years. Now, when I see Magnus play it, and I see Stockfish bless it, I go, oh, this bishop is not going to be happy here. It's going to come out this way. Also, maybe you're starting an attack. Maybe there's a world in which you move the queen, you move the knight, you castle long, and you play g4, g5. Like, maybe. Okay. Vincent Keymer plays a5, which is not a move the computer loves, but it only doesn't love it because in this position, Magnus, who went back and did not get a good position, Magnus here, according to Stockfish, had to play knight a6. And you say, Levy, what? But the bishop's not trapped. I know. It's still the best move. The best move is to put the knight here and leave it alone and play h5. If Magnus played knight a6, h5, they should have stopped the game and removed him from the tournament venue and deported him from Germany. That's what they should have done. They should have just sent him back to Oslo. Don't even let him, like, knight a6, h5 is beyond insane. I can't even explain these moves, by the way. Like, basically, the knight is just so annoying. There's nothing black can do. Black can't get rid of it. Like, if black plays queen d7 to try to play queen d5, you just play c3, queen d3, bishop d3. Or first you take, and then you play bishop d3, and then if queen b2, you go here and you have a big advantage, apparently. Yeah, Magnus didn't do that. He went back, and actually Vincent Keymer, early in the game, had the upper hand. He had a space advantage. He was putting pressure on Magnus. And again, in this type of format, computer evaluation is slightly unreliable. It's a little bit weird. f3 played. You know, you want to maybe go e4, take the center, put the queen out, maybe castle long, castle. All right, well, you know, we'll figure it out. And Vincent played e5. Vincent went a full maximalist approach. Brought everybody out. The queen is ready to come out. He has a huge space advantage. But we've seen in freestyle, maybe you haven't, but you know, we've seen in this type of chess, having a space advantage is good, but it's kind of hard to deal with everybody. Like, when all the pawns get sent out, you now have a responsibility to keep all of them alive, which is not so simple. Takes, and Vincent clearly allows Magnus to take the pawn in the center because he's going to get a pawn right back. Now white can't move the bishop, which I didn't understand moving that pawn in the first place. White can actually castle here, by the way, but it would be very dangerous because this queen is so annoying, and black would actually castle back. And black would just have all this open space in front of the king and yet have a better position, of course. Now here, Magnus plays the best move, which, again, I can't explain. I watched this game like watching a rocket go into outer space, or, you know, like watching animals interact with each other, or, you know, I watched this game like I watched these Instagram reels of this guy named Fishing Garrett. I don't know if anybody knows who that is. He just goes around the Florida Everglades and picks snakes out of the water and like crocodile, and I watch it like with just a level of fascination, you know. Yeah, so Magnus in this position plays g4. I'm not good enough to explain that move. I can try, like I can make something up. Like, here's what I'm gonna say. He takes space away from certain pieces and in certain important moments, and maybe he's going to put his king on g2, manually castling, and that way he's going to be able to actually, you know, kick the queen out without allowing it to get... I think so. I think that's why. I think it's a move that coordinates well with his position. Okay, great. Bishop a7. Checkmate is threatened, just straight up in the middle of the game. Magnus plays e3, supported by the knight from the center of the board. And now, you know, the threat is obviously king g2. King g2, followed by bishop takes pawn, and the rook is going to be protected. Okay, there. I think I did it justice. Vincent plays the best move, queen h6. He spent 20 minutes on that move, 20 minutes. And I think it's because he felt like the position was good, but it's really hard to come up with something. So he goes back, Magnus improves the position, and now we begin seeing that actually Magnus is gaining steam. He's gaining steam. The best move was not even king g2, it was knight g2. It was knight g2 for reasons I can't explain. Again, I can't explain this move. King g2, Vincent plays queen e6, okay? Threatens the knight. You want to leave the knight in the center, which is why you play e4. And now you start looking ahead to the future. How is white going to set up his pieces? Black can castle this way or this way. Probably black is going to castle queenside. He'll have a rook here. White probably wants to put this knight on e3. It's where it looks natural. And then white wants to break apart these pawns with b3, a4. Okay. Knight c7, trying to get rid of the knight in the center of the board. Now, knight c7 is possible. Then you probably replace it, right? This is just a move that's faster than white. Wow, knight c2. He plays it anyway. Knight c2 is a nasty little move. That's just a free pawn. But the point is, queen takes d5. And after queen d5, e d5, you cannot take this because you lose a piece. And if you don't do that, if it looks like, you know, your queen's going to get trapped, it's not. You have the bishop here. So that's the point. That's why he plays knight c2 here and knight e3. And here Magnus has a very stable position. This is Vincent's chance to break out, to try to spoil the 9 out of 9, but Vincent's already down on time, and he's probably already feeling slightly unpleasant in the position, probably feeling a little bit under pressure, like Magnus is going to very quickly kick him out, wreck this, and, you know, if white is successful in creating a clamp, he's just going to win the game. He has more space. Black's king is weaker. So black has to go h5 here. h5 is not an obvious move, but h5 is the best move. And the point is simply, like, you're trying to open up the position. So even with the inclusion of these two moves, right, this is very active. So here white would need to find something else like knight takes g4, but the computer's very happy here for black. It thinks that black has opened up the position sufficiently to the point where things like queen h3 are possible, and obviously, Magnus is not going to blunder a mate, but that's what it wants. Vincent goes here. Queen e8 has many, many, many different layers. Number one, you want to move something via e6. Number two, you maybe want to reposition the queen and you want the queen out of the way. Number three, you maybe want to, help with h5. Problem is it's too slow. Magnus plays queen e2, which is also slightly too slow, but it's still a very reasonable move. He could have also played knight c7, but he plays queen e2. And now Vincent has to show his point. Why did Vincent move the queen out of the way? Yes, he wants the bishop to look at the knight, but what is the deep idea behind the move? He takes the knight, and now Magnus goes knight takes d5. Not e takes d5, but knight takes d5. So is Vincent going to take with the bishop? No. Now he fires h5. Queen there. The bishop wasn't able to take the knight with the queen in front of the bishop. Now the queen goes back. It defends over here. h5. Big moment in the game. What is the best move for white in this position? Computer thinks it's bishop g3, but g5 also is possible. One thing you definitely don't want to do is allow black to activate the queen and the knight together, queen and the rook together. So bishop g3. Clutch move. He finds that move in like 4 minutes. Now the pawn cannot take because of the pin. So what does black do here? Improves his position, defends the rook. Now you are recreating the threat of this. This is a big, big battle to knock off Magnus's perfect score. But you are baiting that this pawn is hanging. So you can take this pawn, but Magnus plays g5. It's not the top computer move, but he doesn't play chess like a computer. Magnus plays chess like the strongest human in the world. He makes practical decisions. g5 is simply aimed at blocking the rook and blocking the queen and not opening the e-file. The position is about equal, but black is running out of practical options. h4 doesn't work. Queen g6 is met with knight e7. So what do you play here with black? You play rook d7, defending the 7th rank. Maybe queen g6 is next. Now Magnus plays rook d1. The rook was terrible here, so it improves. Pressure is waiting. Queen d8 is good. Defending the rook, fighting back on the d-file, and targeting this pawn. A lot of good options for black. Vincent plays h4. Vincent, with 5 minutes on the clock, very normal, very natural decision, tries to force the issue. Okay? He tries to give Magnus to take a pawn to activate the queen. It's a very natural move. h4, queen h5, etc. Magnus plays bishop takes h4. He says, Vincent, you gave me a pawn. I'm calling this bluff. I am now up a pawn. Show me what you have. Is it queen d8? Is it queen h5? Which one is it? Vincent plays queen d8. Again, very passive. Queen h5, not hated by the engine, but queen h5 would have maybe been a little bit better. Now again, what do you do here with white? Do you kind of hit the ball back like it's tennis? You have to play tennis. What do? Queen e1. This is such a ridiculous move. It's such a ridiculous move. The point is, black was setting up rook h4, queen g5. So when I show you that, queen e1 makes sense. But again, Magnus spent some time because he probably wanted to be a little bit more aggressive. But queen e1 just defends everything. And now Vincent has 3 minutes to hit the ball back. What is he going to do? And he plays rook h5. He plays this move with 8 seconds on the clock, by the way. 8 seconds. Because he gained 30 seconds. Magnus plays queen g3, just playing tennis, just defending against Vincent's threat. Vincent has 38 seconds now. 38 seconds. What's he going to do? Knight f5. He goes for it. Time trouble does that. You know what the computer wanted black to play here? a4. Do nothing. White plays a3, black plays king b7. It literally wants Vincent to do nothing. Just don't move. Not easy to do. Time is ticking. You feel like you're under severe pressure. He goes for it. Magnus takes. Rook d5, trades down, attacks the rook, threat is created, and that pawn that Vincent sacrificed is about to come back to hurt. Bishop goes back to play defense. Magnus plays g6, disconnecting the bishop while attacking it and attacking the rook and attacking the queen. Queen d2 check. The king runs out to h3. This is hanging. That's hanging. Vincent sacrificing the rook. King takes h4, by the way, would be a draw. It would be a bad move, but he's Magnus. Bishop d5. The bishop comes out, its first move of the entire game, gluing the entire position together. That's a threat. That's a threat. Queen h6 check. King back to g2. He defends. He escapes the checks. The pawn is breaking through, and Vincent Keymer fought his best, but resigns as there are no more checks. You can play bishop d6. I can even queen e4, doesn't matter. Here, queen h4. Magnus Carlsen plays king g3. Vincent Keymer resigns the game. And that's all. 9 out of 9. One he got done in a crazy back and forth game. One he got done in typical Magnus fashion. He won games in his style. He won games his way. 9-0. The craziest thing about this performance is that Magnus has won 9 games in a row in a tournament before. He did it in a Blitz tournament some years ago in Poland or Romania. But this was 9-0 in classical chess, and even though it wasn't the traditional format, and even though he didn't play the top 10 players in the world, he played good grandmasters, but not grandmaster score, top 10. Yes, still completely ridiculous. That's all I have for you for today. I will be heading off to Europe. And again, friendly reminder, Brussels, London, Vienna, Berlin, Munich, Warsaw, amazing special guests. In Brussels, it's my wife, and Anna Kramling will be joining. In London, it's Danny Wrench and Frank, the one and only. In Vienna, it's Felix Bloberger, Grandmaster, and it's Alessia Santaramo. In Berlin, it's going to be none other than the big Greek and Judith Polgar, the GOAT of chess. Munich, the Svane brothers. Rasmus and Frederick will join me, as well as Nicholas Huschenbeth, the one who's involved in all the freestyle, and he's also a Grandmaster. It's going to be a stacked event. And in Poland, it will be the one and only Bartosz Rudecki, as well as David Czerw. So super pumped. I think I said all those names right, too, which is legendary. Get your tickets. I'm going to Europe, and you should get out of here.